you, Nicole. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us today. So the purpose of this webinar is to introduce to you what is in scope for the upcoming Connectathon in Brussels in March. So we have the technical guys here with us today. So Mohannad will talk to us about the radiology domain, Matt about ITI, and Alessandro and Ricky about the PaLM domain. So that's an overview. For sure, the regular profiles are still available for you to test at the Connectathon. Yeah, so maybe next slide, Nicole, I think you have some housekeeping. Okay, so please keep your microphone muted. You can use the chat during the question. We will address all of them in the second part of the webinar. And as usual, the slide will be published on IHE Europe Connectathon web page, and you will have the recording available on YouTube. So the recording is already in progress. So Mohannad, I think you can start now with radiology.
Thank you, Gail, and thank you, Nicole, for having me here. So a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me. So want to say hello to everyone in this webinar and anyone who's watching this recording afterwards. My name is Mohannad Hussain. I have the not so enviable job of taking over for Lynn. Definitely big shoes to fill here. So I want to start by also thanking Lynn for her dedication, years of service. She took this with a lot of pride. So going forward, myself and my friend Jason Nagels will be filling in for Lynn Fellhofer going forward. So Jason will take care of the day-to-day radiology tech committee stuff, and I'll be responsible for Connectathon testing. So aside from introducing myself, if I can have the next slide, my goal is to try and continue at least to meet the bar that Lynn set, if not hopefully exceed it. Probably not the first year, but through us, hopefully maybe we can exceed it. So one of the things I know as someone who has attended Connectathons in my past life working for the vendor community is that Lynn used to deliver what here in North America we call a white glove experience. It's a very refined experience. If you are someone who is new to the Connectathon, she made you feel very welcome. She took the time to speak with you and make sure that you're fully oriented. So this is the first thing I want to say to everyone here today is that I am here for you, especially if you're new, but this is not really just for people who are new. If you're feeling a little bit lost as far as what's going on, and if you're new and you hear jargon like profiles and actors and combinations or what the technical framework is, please don't struggle. Shoot me an email. My email is on the slides. I am more than happy to set a time to meet with you and work with you to make sure that you know exactly what you're doing. So I'll help you figure out what applies to your system. I'll help you figure out any registration questions, problems, issues with tests, so on and so forth. So please reach out to me. My door is always open for questions. Next slide, please. Now, that being said, the purpose of the webinar here is mostly to talk about some profiles that we're excited about. So I've got 6 I wanted to highlight today. It's not an easy choice to choose those 6, but just they kind of made sense. Again, as Angel said, the list of profiles is pretty long. There's also other new profiles too that will be available for testing. But again, these were the ones that I kind of felt excited about. First one is integrated reporting applications. I'm going to summarize. This is basically a profile that takes context synchronization between multiple applications of radiology to the next level to be able to exchange things like measurements and so on and so forth. This has been tested at, I believe, 2 Connectathons already. So I'm hoping that we're going to see continued success for this profile. The other one is interactive multimedia reporting. That one has the title of being the first FHIR-based IHE radiology profile. This one here allows for interactive content such as links, hyperlinks, to be inserted into the radiology report, which then can use to be call up images. So again, this one has also seen some testing in at least a couple of connectathons, and I'm hoping that we're going to see more of this one in the future. Contrast administration management is another one, and this one is more about recording and distributing contrast agent administration details for imaging and image-guided procedures. Next slide, please. Wonderful. So AI results assessment for imaging is a net new profile. This one just came out, so definitely not been tested before. But this is a really cool one. As AI applications take off in radiology, we're starting to see questions come up as to, well, how do we record concordance? So what happens when a physician reviews results and they accept, reject, or find these results? That's something that this profile looks after. So this will be a fun one to test, hopefully this year. Another one that also just came out is the XC-WADO profile. So that's the cross-community web-based access to DICOM objects. Boy, that's a mouthful. This one here is about how one system can load images from another community. So this is something that applies if you are an XCA infrastructure. So again, first year that this would be tested. Hopefully we'll see some turnout for this profile. Another one that is not new, but just recently has been updated is the encounter-based imaging workflow. So this one has extensions for POCUS. If any of you here doesn't know what POCUS is, it's point of care ultrasound. It's just more fun to call it POCUS. So that's what this profile has been updated to do. It's been updated to also add support for these devices that may not have constant connectivity or super reliable connectivity to still be able to plug into the workflow of encounter-based imaging. Next slide, please. The slides from this presentation will be shared with everyone. So that's the reason why I have these links, just to try and make your life easier so you can go find the text for these profiles very easily. But again, if anyone needs any help, please reach out to me. And if I can ask for one more slide, please. For the IHE faithful in the audience here, we have two profiles that are going to be available for public comment. And I apologize, this actually should have said 2026, not 2025. These two profiles are actually just kicking development right now. So imaging diagnostic report is going to go into phase 2. So this is the profile that looks after trying to get the FHIR diagnostic report to work for imaging, because imaging reports are a little bit more sophisticated. They have different sections and requirements and so on and so forth. So this is the profile that's been trying to create a FHIR implementation guide to try and make it work in a standard-based way. MADO is another new profile that's right now just starting to take off, and I expect that it'll be available for public comment sometime next year. And my last slide, please. So I know I did a lot of talking. I just wanted to remind everyone, ultimately, what I'm hoping to do is I'm hoping to be here for you. So if any of you have questions, comments, problems, you want to vent, please hit me up. Happy to spare time, sit down, work with you. And with that, I want to thank you, and I want to pass it back to Angel.
Thank you very much. So that's very useful. You can, as a reminder, we also have the LIP community for IHE, and it's also a place where you can ask questions not only to the domain technical project manager, but also to the other implementers in case you have other questions when implementing the profiles. So Matt, I think it's your turn now.
Hello, everyone. My name is Matt Blackmon. I also want to extend the warm welcome that Mohannad offered, and also extend gratitude to Lynn Fellhofer and also Steve Moore, two of the giants that came before us, and quite frankly, for whom we will never be able to replace. I also want to thank you members for your patience as Mohannad and others of us connect through this as we kind of do this transition. It has been very helpful because Lynn and Steve have been so very generous with their time. Angel and others have been very patient with us. But I do thank you for that and for your encouragement as we work pretty hard to try to continue this contribution. I also want to shout out my former boss and colleague, Dee Dee Davis, the oncoming international board co-chair. She helped me get my start in this. And so any mistakes I make or any errors are ultimately not my responsibility. They're Dee Dee and her poor hiring practices. So be sure to thank her for that. So we will talk a little bit about IT infrastructure profiles. I sit on the planning and the technical committees. I do want to echo what Mohannad said. I didn't add a slick little slide inviting you to contact me, but of course you're welcome to contact me. And also thanks Ann Gale for pointing out Zulip. I will say there's a couple of questions now in Zulip that we are working on answering. And it's not restricted just to your domain technical project managers either. We will loop in others from committees and other standards experts as needed, because we do want it to be a clearinghouse to help you. We do not want you to struggle in this process. If you are new, it can be daunting. I've been around for, I think, 9 years now, 10 years. I can't really remember. There are things that I still find daunting. So we don't want it to be a white knuckle experience, as we say in the US, where you're grabbing onto something really tight. We want it to be as simple and as pain-free as possible, because we're all here for the same purpose. Next slide, please. I have chosen just a couple of profiles that we'll highlight, both in the interest of time and also to make sure we stay focused on areas of interest. We have two relatively new profiles for testing in 2026. They've been in development for some time. The two we'll talk about today in some detail is finance and insurance service, as well as subscription. And then I'll give you a little sneak peek, or really it's more of a loop back to discuss some of the other profiles that are existing, but we've updated them for some new capabilities, mostly around FHIR and REST integration. Next slide, please. So what is finance and insurance service? That's just a little quick peek at the profile or the IG. There's a link in the slides that you can find to read through there to get all the technical details. Next slide. So it defines how healthcare systems manage, categorize, and exchange financial and insurance data related to patient care. Now, this is somewhat difficult to address in an international context for IHE International, because different regions and organizations and companies and cooperatives, there are such a diverse set of groups and implementations that it's almost impossible to define a standard way to approach this. But we did approach it, although the profile was developed, mostly by USA type folks. We tried to be very sensitive to the fact that IHE International is the vast majority of the world, right? The USA is a very small part. And so we wanted to try to help centralize claims and finance data. So we're very excited about getting this to an international perspective to help those of us who maybe are limited in some of our experience with the broader standards world in that perspective to help out. So we wanted to provide a standardized structure for managing and reconciling financial transactions across healthcare networks, particularly across international, regional, local, and other domains. Next slide, please. And so if we think about these actors, you have a beneficiary requester and then a manager. And then you have three new transactions, 122, 123, and 121. Then you have a coverage requester and a claims manager. And then you have a claims requester. Again, all of these transactions are described in somewhat detail. Again, this is trial implementation, so I would not be at all surprised if there were things that we need to add, things that we need to update, things that we need to change. And so we're looking very forward to working through that. And of course, as most trial implementations, we anticipate peer-to-peer transactions to begin with, utilizing Gazelle, and then we'll have more data on that as the tests are constructed. Next slide, please. So this is kind of a handy little table to put the actors, the transactions, and then the optionality or the cardinality of the structure to help you understand kind of the transactions that are required and the transactions that are optional. I won't read through those because I think you're perfectly capable of reading on your own. But this is a handy chart directly from the profile IG to help you know how to approach that. Next slide, please. We'll transition to scheduling now. And again, if you have questions for this, thanks. Feel free to put them in the chat or to email them or to kind of go through whatever channels you can get to us. And if they don't belong to us, for instance, maybe it's an accidental radiology question that comes to me or something. All of your domain technical project managers work together closely with your overall technical manager and Gail. We'll get them to the right place. So again, this is a picture of the scheduling IG. This is something that I'm really excited about because it has direct impact on me as a patient and on others as clinicians. Next slide, please. And the idea behind scheduling is we essentially, and I can boil all this slide down to really one thing. We wanted a standardized API for patients and clinicians to book and manage patient appointments. This is based on FHIR-R4, which is broad and above the vast majority of FHIR implementations that we have seen. I know there are other areas of the world that are implementing various other types of FHIR versions and releases, and we'll talk about that as the need arises. And we utilize really three main resources from FHIR Core. We use the schedule, the slot, and the appointment. And we want to also give a shout out to the Argonaut project. We've built kind of on the basis of that project. Again, you can group these as with all IHE transactions and all IHE profiles. It's not at all uncommon to have dependencies here. So you can do PDQM, patient demographics, and then the MCSD or the core services or care services discovery profile. And then from the perspective of security and privacy, you have ATNA, our good friend ATNA. You have IUA, BALT, and PCF. Now, if you don't know what those acronyms mean, don't be afraid to ask. Essentially, it's auditing, security, log patterns, and patient consent on FHIR. Those are essentially those profiles that you can discuss and go. And again, there's a link to the profile. Next slide, please. I'll give you just a moment to look at this actor diagram so I don't have to read it to you. And I am aware we've been going about 20 some minutes talking at you. So I want to give your brain just a moment to rest and to catch up. But again, you can see here we have a client and a server and the 4 transactions essentially that helps you find an appointment, hold an appointment, book an appointment, or find an existing appointment. The one actor that's not present here is someone may ask, well, how about rescheduling? That's part of the book appointment structure. And we can talk about that here in a moment. Next slide, please. Again, just like for the finance profile, the scheduling profile, you have some optionality. You have some required transactions. You also have some optional portions of the transaction, mostly around holding appointments and then finding an existing appointment. I'll give you a moment to look at those, and then we show where in the technical framework. ITI is IT infrastructure, TF is technical framework, the dash is the volume number. As we've gone to web publishing, those volume numbers can be a little bit more elliptical for those who haven't been background, but volume 1, I think, explains that somewhat well. Or if you have questions about why things are structured that way, you're probably just about anyone can answer those questions who've been around for a while. Next slide, please. So again, I won't walk through the active transaction diagram here, this process flow. But again, you can see we try to keep it fairly simple. You will see the dependency there on the middle on the MCSD profile, ITI 90. And then you'll see some of the new transactions we have, the find appointments query, ITI 115. Select and you can add data and confirm booking, and then ITI 117. You have the request and the response for booking the appointment. Hopefully these are fairly straightforward structure and names. That is not to imply that we think there's a simplicity in implementation. We know this is a complex process to do scheduling and appointments, and we're well aware that there's a large number of ways that systems and integrators and EHRs have chosen to implement this. So we're aware that there's a bit of a lift involved. Next slide, please. ITI sneak peek. Is it blank because there's nothing going on? No, I think it's blank because I didn't want to overwhelm you with a lot of graphics and other things. But just to let you know, we have been along the process integrating change proposals as well as extensions and enhancements, not extensions in the FHIR way, but extensions in the IHE way to existing profiles. A couple that I wanted to mention just offhand is from the document digital signature profile. We've added a JSON digital signature and kind of updated that. We would love to see that kind of have some exercise through there, as well as on IUA. We've added some other parts and pieces from that. And then finally, some of the other profiles, MCSD, PICS-M and things. We've added updates and things to support some of these other work with respect to some of the FHIR profile and some of these enhancements. And again, I didn't think it was necessary to spend a lot of time highlighting those, but that those are useful as they continue to allow enhanced interoperability as we add more and more RESTful attention or more FHIR type transactions into the existing SOAP SAML world. I think next slide, and I think we hand it off to the excellent speakers. We can learn about pathology and lab medicine. I want to say just one last word. If you have any question at all, please don't be afraid to ask. You can find us in Zulip. If you don't want to pose the question publicly, you can private message us. Sometimes I can be intimidated. I understand. I don't want to ask a question and look foolish or look silly. The good news is I'm always happy to look foolish and silly. So don't be afraid to ask questions. As Mohannad said, we are here to support you. And I look very forward to seeing many of you in Brussels here in a very short period of time. Back to Anne Gale. Thank you, Anne Gale.
Thank you very much, Matt. So now we are talking about pathology and laboratory medicine. I don't know, Alessandro, Ricky, which?
Yep. Yeah, I'll start
Okay.
us off.
Cool.
Thank you for having us. Can I have the next slide, please? So just briefly, this is what we're going to talk about. Next slide. Just making sure that you know what PaLM stands for. It's basically all the digital assets and specimens in testing performed on clinical specimens. As well as in pathology laboratories. It includes the automation, so everything that's going on within the lab, exchange between the instruments and the LIS, as well as transactions out to the EHR and to public health. It's also including biobanking and transfusion medicine. So it's a very broad swath of clinical data that we're covering. Next slide. So just a brief work through. I think I should have made this a picture. You just have to keep clicking here to populate all the different areas of profiles. So we've got external workflows. We've got subcontracting workflows between laboratories. We got reporting to other entities, keep going. We got transfusion medicine, we got internal automation, and we've got digital pathology. And for all of these, you see multiple different profiles are available for the different parts of those workflows. Next slide. And I'll hand it over to Alessandro.
Okay, thank you, Ricky. Now we start more technical part about what we offer in terms of profiles and of testing. Looking forward to next Connectathon. This slide is a picture of what we have in terms of profiles for PaLMs, what we are able to offer. On the left, you see the final text profile that are almost popular profile that have been tested in previous Connectathon. We have a laboratory testing workflow, which involves the workflow between, for example, an HIS and a laboratory information system for the transmission of orders, execution of orders, and providing of the related results. LDA and LAW are related to in vitro testing automation. LBL is related to labeling of specimen, workflow related to automatic labeling of specimen. Then we have also laboratory point care testing, laboratory call set distribution, and XD lab that is related to laboratory documents, CDA lab documents. We have to say that in Gazelle these profiles have their own tests. So the purpose is that each actors that plays the roles corresponding to these profiles knows what to do and knows what we are expecting that the vendor do during the Connectathon. In the middle, there are two new profiles. We will talk about them in a while. That are digital pathology, image automation, and specimen event checking. And for these profiles, consist of what we have to offer concerning new profile. We partially tested DPIA in the last Connectathon. We've never tested set yet, so the hope is to be able to test these two new profiles in the incoming Connectathon and also in the next few years. Then in red, there are some profiles that are currently in development, or they are not ready for testing. For example, interlaboratory workflow, laboratory specimen end-off, and some others related to digital pathology that are currently in development, and we are expecting to offer during the next few years. Next slide, please. So this is a brief overview of what digital pathology maze acquisition is. It's a new profile that in the last few years, and mainly is composed of two parts. First part is related to the lab, and the second part is related to our radiology parts and involves the production of digitalized specimen between transaction between the lab part, where there is the acquisition manager and acquisition modality, where the modality is issued to produce some digitalized specimen, and then these digitalized specimen are stored in a image manager, image archive, and shown and rendered by an image display. And this part involves some radiology transactions that are the same that are used by radiology in other contexts. Next slide, please. This is the overview of what are the DPIA test cases in Gazelle. As I said before, each profile has its own tests. And this test has the purpose to test one or more transaction and one or more actors. So according to what a vendor is in terms of role to be played, can look at Gazelle to see in detail these test instances and what is required for the vendor himself to do. Next slide, please. This is a slide that shows what happens during the next Connectathon, because it was the first experience that about DPIA testing. So it's worth to say a few words about it, because we were not able to test the lab part of the profile. So it means that we had no scanners at the last Connectathon, but we had a lot of image archiver and image viewers. So we decided to try to test this part at the last Connectathon, as we had a few actors. So we tried to simulate the transaction that happened before by providing a set of of images that we used for testing. And so we were able to let image managers and image archivers import these images in your system, properly import these images in your system, and the viewer to render it and to demonstrate that their ability to render IHE slide images in terms of zoom, in terms of DICOM metadata and metadata and so on. Obviously, for this here, we hope to be able to test also the first part of the profile and not only this one. But it has been a very successful experience that it's worth to be highlighted. Next slide, please. So this is what we have for DPIA in terms of tools for testing, because it's very important to have for the vendors to be able to better prepare for the Connectathon in a profile, to have validators, to have simulators, and to know exactly what to do. In terms of DPIA, we have a set of tests that have been verified by our committees, so they are ready to be tested. Some of them, part of them has been tested also the last year. And now we are finalizing the job about HL7 version 2 validators for the lab part of the profile, also for simulator. And another important part for the profile is the mapping between the HL7 messages that are received by the scanner and the DICOM objects that the scanner produces and stores inside the image archiver and the image manager. This mapping table is very important. This part is in continuous reviewing, and it's already available in the test instances and will be further improved in the next months. Also, accordingly to how many vendors there will be subscribed for the next Connectathon. Next, please. A few words also about spacing event tracking, that it's a particular profile because its position is transversal among all the other profiles, because its purpose is to have a standardized way to make the traceability of the specimen during all its life change. So from the moment that the specimen is produced to the moment that the specimen is disposed of. Many events happen. It could be, for example, it could happen that the specimen is moved from one institution to another, that the specimen is moved among the lab automation, because we have to perform several tests in several points to this specimen. A specimen could be accepted or rejected by a receiving institution. So all these events are tracked by this profile, and it's a simple transaction that we named the lab 40, that involves two simple actors. One is the event informer and the other one is the tracker. The event informers and also the purpose to be paired with the actors that produce the information related to that event. For example, if you are talking about specimen collection, it will be paired with the healthcare information system or the laboratory information system, where the action of collecting the specimen happen. So the specimen event informer has all the information to produce the HL7 version 2 traceability message, and it sends it to the tracker that has only the purpose to store the message, store that information. And then, according to the purpose of the tracker itself that are outside the scope of the profile, these traceability messages could be used, for example, to measure KPIs or to identify fallbacks in the process and something like that. Next slide, please. These are the list of tests that are present in Gazelle for this profile. They are simple tests because every test addressed exactly one event. So according to the list of events that we are tracking, we have the correspondent Gazelle test that is testing that own event. Very simple, and you can see all the details into Gazelle for every single message and every single event. Next slide, please. Okay, also for SET, there is what I call the Road to Brussels, because it's the same as DPIA. Also for SET, we are finalizing the validator in a way to that a vendor has the possibility to validate the HL7 View2 message that are exchanged in the Lab 40 transaction, and also with the possibility to have a simulator to simulate one actor if the other one is played by the vendor. It's a work that is going to be finalized, also this one, according to how many vendors will have for this profile subscribed for the next Connectathon. Next slide, please. And here I want to reprise the words of my previous colleagues, saying that we are here for you. So if you have some questions, some doubts, as Mohammed said, about one of the profiles, about one of the transactions, feel free to write or to me and Ricky, or in the mailing list, which is palm.ihe.net itself. And also, if you are a vendor, and if you have some issues or some improvement to suggest for the profiles, feel also free to join the committees and help us to better improve all the profiles we have. So we are here for you, and we are also waiting for you to contribute. So thank you, everybody, and let's meet in Brussels in March. And I give the floor back to Angel.
Thank you very much to you too. So Nicole, I think we have some practical information regarding the registration for the Connectathon, and then we can open the question.
Yeah, of course, some practicalities just to remember you the venue for the next 2026 IHE Europe Connectathon. It will be from Monday, 23rd March to Friday, 27th in Brussels, where at the Egg, that is about 10-minute walk from Brussels South Station, that is Gare du Midi. It will be the 25th anniversary, so it will be an important Connectathon for us. Just to remember you that the registration is officially open. It will close the 14th of November, so please don't miss this unique opportunity. And I think that Claudio puts in the chat the link for registration that you can find also here in this slide. And that's it. If you have questions, is now the time to raise them. Maybe we have some question in the chat. Let me check.
No, I haven't seen any.
Okay, so maybe there would be questions on live, let's say. I will just to let you know, I will insert also all your emails in the slide deck, so everyone can have it also there. Okay. So Angel, it seems no questions. Speakers, no questions.
Question.
We have either bored them into complacency or answered all their. I haven't answered all possible questions, but the other colleagues, they certainly did.
So I can see.
I have a question.
Yes, please.
How do potential participants find out if anybody's signed up for certain profiles or testing? How do you publish a list, or if someone new is coming along and they're interested in participating, but they are definitely looking for specific testing partners. Is that information available pre-registration or during registration? I don't know if I'm
It's
clear.
not publicly available, but if a participant is interested in testing a specific set of profiles, they can reach out to me, and I will tell them what the likelihood that the profile is going to be tested. That's something I've done with iCare. We have a number of participants that are willing to test iCare. I received some inquiries about EBIW. So it's not public because that's not something we want to be public, but I can give clues about it. Certainly.
Okay, thank you.
There's a question from Marty, I think.
Hi, hello, thank you. There are no questions. I just had a question to Matt that we talked about last year in Vienna or this year in Vienna. Maybe it's not the audience, but just to keep in mind and introduce. One is there was not clear in the last Connectathon for the MHD profile of the document recipient about the number of documents you must be able to receive. And I don't know if the change has been done to be just one too many or two too many, or will be a restriction to be two. I don't need the answer right now, just to keep in mind to prepare the systems for the next Connectathon. Yes. And the other one is, Matt, how could we have been reviewing the profile for scheduling at the last edition, and we realized that it's maybe so specific for a certain domain, and for us was surprising that searching for a slot, not a get of slots, is a post of appointment. Yes, I don't want to bore the audience with that, but which could be the way that we can have, it's possible, a modification on that profile, because last Connectathon on Vienna, we talked about another partners. We were not able to test on that schedule and profile, although we implement by scheduling regarding that situation. I don't know if we can talk on another audience or how it could be.
Absolutely. Yeah. For the first question for MHD, I will circle back. I did take that back to the committee just to make sure we got clarification for there. And then with the scheduling thing, you may well have found an area that we, overlooked, or because of, like I said, we only had narrow community focus in one area. We may well have not covered that. But I'll send you email, or you can send me email. We're happy to chat about that. And,
Okay.
and at a TI trial implementation, this is a perfect time to see if we can do something about that. So thank you for raising those issues.
Okay, thank you very much, Matt. Pleasure.
Okay, any other questions? Seems the webinar was clear. Okay, so I will put your emails in the slide deck so everyone will have it. And I think we can close the meeting here. So thank you everyone for participating. Thank you to the speakers. You were really great. And thank you for your availability. And thank you to the audience.
Thank
Bye
you.
everyone. See you and hope to see
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.